Hello, SolarLune here, and this, well, first of all, hi. It's been quite a while since I made a last tutorial for Sunvox, and I believe that people have been asking for how to make sound effects in Sunvox for quite a while. You can use SFXR or BFXR or sound effect creation tools like that, but I tend to make them in Sunvox, and you can do so pretty simply, and that's what I'm going to cover today. So the idea behind it is basically you use the generator, the synth you want, and then you just modify the notes that you play to make the sound effect. It's pretty simple. So the idea is basically you first comprehend or understand the kind of sound effect you want. So for example, if we were going to go for a jump sound effect or a coin collection sound effect, like in Mario's, a simple one, you might think of a beep. Well, that's just basically a note. But like a jump sound effect is probably going to kind of go up, right? Like whoop, whoop, like that. When you jump. So the idea is that we have the idea. Now we just have to execute it. So we're going to go ahead and take our analog generator, simple analog generator. We're going to use a square wave just because that's probably what we're going to, use is probably the sound effect that would give a solid jump. Let me see here. I don't actually need to hear. Well, I do kind of need to hear it. So we're going to go and create the note here. Okay. We want to probably have a lot of we probably want to have a lot of ticks per line so that it's nice and smooth. So we want to have a lot of ticks per line and then bump up the BPMs so that we can have a quick effect. Yeah. So we want it to rise. So let's go ahead and use the first effect for that. And let's say we want it to rise by 100. Let's make it a little lower. Make it rise not so fast. A little higher. Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. That's the jump effect. I mean, it's a pretty solid jump effect, and it's something that we made ourselves. Now, if we wanted to customize it a little bit more, we could add different things. Like for example, let's say that we wanted it to sound a little more, and that silence was me thinking. Let's say we wanted it to sound a little more kind of earthy. What we could do is add another sound effect that plays at the same time. So for example, let's make another track here, and we make this one something else. We can make this, let's say a dirty wave, and yeah, let's give it a nice little crunch at the beginning. Yeah, kind of like a kick, kind of like just in addition to the jump, you have like a kind of like a leap at the beginning. So that sounds pretty good. Now let's say we wanted to make it a little more developed too. We say, we want it to be, and I'm over developing this obviously, or a pretty good amount. It's probably fine the way it is. But if you wanted to make something just more and more unique, less like something you can make out of BFXR or SFXR, and it's more like something you made yourself, then you really want to try, using different techniques and doing things. So we gotta obviously, add different effects and filters and stuff like that if we wanted to. But this is more just the core concept of making the sound. So let's say we wanted it to be a little, have some wind. Let's say we wanted to have a little bit of wind associated with it. So that's going to be a noise generator, because noise is, what you would use for wind, for water, for just kind of that ambient feel, that like that. So that's it's grating, but that's the idea. So let's go ahead and put that in there. We want it to be a little quiet. We want it to fade out because we don't want it to be very loud and noticeable. Why do I have that up still? Okay. We want it to be more like wind. So it's a little harsh right now. Let's filter this out. Let's see here. So I'm using this Filter Pro to basically set up how I want this sound to be filtered. I'm using a high pass and I'm using exponential frequency. High pass because that way we cut out the lower end of the effect, and it's a lot more like as opposed to, well, I can't do it because I'm sick, so I can't use my voice correctly. But basically, when you have wind or something like that, it's going to be kind of like that bassless tonal effect. So actually we probably want to use low pass. Yeah, we actually might want to use low pass instead with a frequency. And then a little bit of Q, a little bit of a higher Q value to make it sound a little more like wind. Now notice that when I'm doing this, I'm altering the frequency values, you could say. So this basically, when you see this rise, that means that the frequency of the synth is going to get louder in these sections. So basically, it's going to be a louder synth with the Filter Pro in this area, in this frequency area. So basically, you just want to use that information to know, like, you should lower the volume if you wanted to keep it at the same relative loudness in the rest of your track, or the rest of your thing. So let's see how that sounds. Okay, the idea is pretty solid. Let's kick up the frequency of this a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty good. That's the general idea behind making sounds with Sunvox. It all works together, and it all sounds pretty good, I think. It's, kind of video gamey. It's not the same as if you were to do things yourself, obviously, with samples. If you're making a realistic game, or if you were making a song that wasn't chiptune inspired or something like that, then you probably would use actual samples. But you can get some pretty good sound effects. Like, for example, in my game Gerund that I was working on, let me see. I think I have. It's in. Oh, sounds. Here we go. I use sounds like this. This is actually, I think, kind of a loud one. Let me see. That's really loud. Yeah, it's kind of like an explosion. Kind of and that's why I named it Vabi. That's what it is. So here I have this sound. Basically, we can break it down into two different pieces. It rises, or I'm sorry, falls. Oh no, it falls a little bit from the beginning, and then it rises up to C7, and then kind of wavers there, and then fades out at the end. I used to use manual fade out there. Yeah, and then you have a noise that's basically the explosion portion, or the explosion portion. And this is just basically the same thing, but without the noise. And that's sounds like it's been filtered a little bit. I guess not. It's just a sine wave at this time. And so now it's basically the same thing. It sounds more like a teleportation kind of a thing. This little blue bars in the video. Oh well, I just now noticed it. For another example, I made these. This was for again Gerund. I made basically slashes and chucks, that's what I called them, where basically when you use the slash or use a sword and you put the sword back in the holster, so you can hear the effects. That's a very simple sword slash there. Then here's another one, more of a long one. You hear how it rises up, the noise rises up. It's got a little bit of attack on the noise here. The tone's got a vibrato to kind of make it shake. It's just kind of like, I just tweaked it to be the way I wanted it to sound. Same concept. I'm basically it's the same concept on all of these. I just changed what they sound like. That one is pretty sick. Like that sounds pretty just nasty, dude. It's so long. It's kind of bassy and the noise drops. It's a very simple effect. It's not like it's amazing, but it's pretty good, I think, for a custom effect. Like, that's pretty good. That's what I was talking about. That's the chuck. That's where the sword goes back into the holster. And so I isolated that. Chucks. And so the idea is that you have a sword and you put it back in this holster. So that's the basic concept. Is basically you make the sound, you think of the sound you want to make, then you just make them the way that you think they would sound like. The chucks, what are they? They're just noise. Yeah, noise with a slight release. This is a little delay, so it goes, like that. They're not filtered or anything. It's pretty simple. Oh, they're distorted, just a tad. I actually, you could completely get rid of that and it would sound the exact same, basically. But yeah, that's the concept. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I've been SolarLune, and hopefully this has been a little bit helpful on making sound effects. I was like, what am I doing? Excuse me. Making sound effects with Sunvox. All right, you have fun. Thanks. See ya.